Howdy, son. This is Old Timer speaking. Seems like I done heard you talking about me at your carrier meeting on the magazine campaign. How y'all were comparing old-time methods of prospecting with the newfangled methods that really improve your prospects of finding rich rewards for yourself. By the way, wasn't that the greatest display of prizes you ever did see? And all that talk telling you how America's most popular magazines could be put to work for you. Let's see, it went like this.
Say, will one of you fellas volunteer to help me out with this little demonstration I want to put on for you?
I will.
Okay, you'll be fine. You don't mind if I call you Mrs. Jones, do you?
No.
Okay. Well, now, here's what we're going to do. We're going to pretend that you are Mrs. Jones, that you are one of the non-subscribers on my route. In other words, since I pass your house every day, I might as well get you as a subscriber, because, after all, it won't cause me any more effort, and I'll be able to make more money. For that reason, you're one of the first persons I want to talk to about the wonderful Home Reading Club service. Now, before you make such calls, one of the things you want to remember is this. You must be able to call people by name. If you don't already know their name, then find out from the next-door neighbor. Then, when they answer the door, you can say, "How do you do, Mrs. So-and-so?" As an example, let's pretend I'm going to the door. I knock. And the woman comes to the door, opens it, and I say, "Hi, Mrs. Jones." If you were Mrs. Jones, you'd probably say, "Hello, Eddie," or something like that. Then I say, "You know you're entitled to some of these magazines?" And this is where you place the magazine order book in her hand. Just a minute. This offer is so exciting, I've got to catch my breath. Now remember, you've just said to Mrs. Jones, "You know you're entitled to some of these magazines, and this is where you place the magazine order book in her hand." Well, she probably then says, "Why, no." And you'd reply, "Yes, you're entitled to magazines like Saturday Evening Post, which sells for 15 cents a week on the newsstand, Ladies' Home Journal, and Red Book, which each sell for 35 cents a copy on the newsstand. All three of these magazines through me, Mrs. Jones, would only cost you a few cents a week, and that includes your newspaper, too." Mrs. Jones would probably say, "Oh, is that so, son? Well, say, that is cheap, isn't it? Let's see what magazines I like on your list." Well, that's one way Mrs. Jones would reply if you were to demonstrate the magazine offer to her properly. Another thing she might say is, "That is certainly a wonderful bargain. In fact, it's too good to be true. What's the catch?" And your answer would be, "Oh, there's no catch, Mrs. Jones. All you have to do is be one of my regular subscribers. I can start the paper either tomorrow or next Monday, whichever you prefer." The third thing Mrs. Jones might say is this. "Well, I know what magazines I want, but I'm not sure I know the magazines my husband wants." In that case, your standard reply is, "Well, Mrs. Jones, here's one of the pages in my special offer book. You and your husband can check over the magazines you want, and then I'll stop around tomorrow and pick up your order." If for any reason you fail to secure an order at any time, always leave an order blank with the prospect. It becomes a silent salesman for you because many people like to think it over, or because they hear of a neighbor taking advantage of the wonderful savings, they change their minds. That's all there is to it, fellas. And believe me, if you use that way of presenting the magazine offer, you can't help but go to town. You'll pick up many new newspaper subscribers. You'll secure a lot of magazine subscriptions, which means you'll receive extra credit. And that, of course, makes it possible for you to have your choice of all the wonderful rewards we have for you during this campaign. One other thing. If you're calling on one of your present subscribers, remember, in that case, all you do is say, "Because you're one of my regular subscribers, Mrs. Jones, you're entitled to this wonderful Home Reading Club service." That's all there is to it. Remember, too, you always leave an order blank at every subscriber's or non-subscriber's house if you do not secure the order on your first call.